Dr. Lexi Show. I'm Dr. Lexi, a board-certified OBGYN and maternal fetal medicine specialist, which just means a high-risk pregnancy doctor. And today on the Dr. Lexi Show, I have the amazing Dr. Stephanie Martin.
Well, thank you. So happy to be here, Dr. Lexi.
Thank you for being here. We're going to talk boards today, specifically MFM oral boards, and just some preparation stuff. And about like 5 minutes ago, I was like, well, why don't we just ask Chat GPT how to best prepare for your exam and do a little search in there. So here's what I just typed in right before we jumped on here. Give me a list on what I need to do to pass my MFM oral board exam. And topic number 1, it says, understand the exam format. And the first thing it lists underneath it is review the ABOG oral exam bulletin and know what topics are covered. I mean, I feel like that's important.
Step 1, you have to know everything in there, and they give a ton of detail about, you know, all the little things, how to structure your case list, but deadlines, fees, don't pay late fees, plan ahead, know what you're doing. I mean, there's some gaps in the bulletin, but it's recently been updated, but that's where you got to start.
Yeah, know that. I would download it and keep a like PDF on your computer so you can refer back to it. I like it printed.
I got it bookmarked. Like,
it's great.
We look at it all the time.
All the time. Because if you have a question, most of the questions could be answered there. And if it can't be answered there, it has a contact number, then you can call someone. So, all right, Chat GPT says, thing number 2 here, organize your case list. I think organizing it is important and also doing it early.
I think people get so intimidated by the case list that they wait till the last minute. It's the worst thing you can do. You are not trying to impress examiners with your case list. You should have it 3/4 of the way full by now. We are more than halfway through the year. You've seen plenty of patients that meet the criteria, and then you know what your gaps are. If you find something you'd rather have on it, you just replace it, but don't wait till the last minute.
No.
You'll be doing it at Christmas or at the SMFM meeting.
Yeah.
It's not necessary.
No. And you can do it online now. Like, you fill it in online. You can start early. They open it early. Those deadlines are all within the bulletin as well. And spell check it, right? Like, just
please
make sure you spell check it. And here's the thing too, there will be an error that you may not see until the day of the exam. If it's a space, if it's a comma, if it's a capitalization, it's okay. Life will go on. That will not make it to where your case list is not accepted. So those little things, let those go.
Let it go.
Let it go.
So let it go.
Frozen, that's what I said. It's just frozen it. Let it go. All right, thing number 3 that Chat GPT says here is master your thesis or research project. Chat GPT is out of date.
They have not read the last several bulletins.
No.
The best thing the board ever did, in my opinion, was to eliminate the oral defense of the thesis during the exam. That was brutal and really, in my opinion, unnecessary. So just know the deadlines, get your thesis submitted, follow their very detailed instructions, include a hypothesis that's clearly stated. And once it's accepted by the board, then you don't have to think about it again, and you just focus on your case list and the structured cases.
So
and stats.
Yes, and stats. Still to submit it, you're just not questioned on your particular thesis specifically during the actual board exam. Yeah. All right, Chat GPT says, thing number 4, study core MFM topics, and then they actually list resources. So this is kind of like, to me, the case of the day style of the structured cases. You know, so if your case list doesn't include a gastroschisis, it doesn't mean that you don't need to know about a gastroschisis,
right?
Or whatever kind of core topics we're talking about for the day, if you will. And here's what's interesting too, they list resources. The first one says Gabler's Oral Board Review. Have you heard of that before?
Never heard of it.
So
I don't know if it exists or if they just made it up.
I will be Chat GPT
we'll be finding
that
out
later. Yeah. Next one is Creasy and Resnick's MFM. So books. Yeah, down for those.
Strong resource.
Yeah, I don't think I like Creasy a lot for the written exam for MFM. For the oral exam, I don't think it would be my number 1 go-to.
I think people think they think they're doing more than they are when they read textbooks. For the oral exam, it's a completely different beast. You've got to be able to verbalize your answers. So if you don't know what the answer is, you can go look it up and create your response, but don't get mired down in thinking you need to reread the textbook for the exam.
No. Next thing they list is ACOG practice bulletins and committee opinions. I'm going to say it again. ACOG practice bulletins and committee opinions. This is the money right here.
I mean, it's spoon-fed to you. Why not take advantage? You have to know the basic recommendations. And if SMFM endorses it, ACOG endorses it, you've got to know it. You just have to know it.
And you know, the thing I think that's really frustrating is navigating where to find the one document online that has all the practice bulletins and committee opinions in there. If you go to your acog.org site, and you ultimately would have to log in to get the access to it all, but there's a one big 13-page document that has all the hyperlinks to all practice bulletins, committee opinions, and you can find that, and it's on acog.org site. So go there, you have to log in to be able to click on the hyperlinks and open them. That you need to bookmark for certain. And the next thing they list, SMFM guidelines. And the big key to that is you go to smfm.org and go to their publications, drop down, and you can get access to all of those. You don't even have to log in.
Right.
They're all available.
Super important.
Yeah. And then they write Williams Obstetrics as background. Oh, I mean,
I just think Williams is going to be a much lower yield resource. If you're going to use a textbook, it's going to be creasy, and you should really be using the textbook minimally.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Agreed. Chat GPT, number 5, practice mock orals. Yes. Verbalization, just like Dr. Martin was saying, is so key. You can sit and read all day long and know everything. It doesn't mean that you can verbalize it. And that is key to this test. Is it knowledge? Yes. However, it is how you deliver the news.
This is a communication exam. And if you know everything and communicate it poorly, you will not be successful your first time around. If you know just enough and communicate it well enough, you will be successful with this exam. This is about verbalizing what you know. If they needed to know just how you practice or how you can answer questions, they would just do it all written. They need to know how you how you think and how you verbalize and communicate.
Yep. They write 3 different little sub bullets here. Number 1, set up mock exams. Number 2, simulate the format. Number 3, work on presentation. I will tell you right now, I started doing last year, 2 years ago, these 2-hour mock, I guess you could say mock, sessions on the actual test. So I have people do 3 sections. They have to dress up for it. It is, I call it a dress rehearsal actually.
Love it.
Because it's meant to be emulating the exam. Like, try to do the best you can to become comfortable being uncomfortable.
Right.
And sitting there all dressed up, sweaty, with whatever you're going to do with your hair, your makeup, or your shoes. It's putting yourself in that situation at least once before you get into the actual exam. You know?
Perfect practice makes perfect performance.
I love that. Say it 3 times. Too hard. All right. Chat GPT says number 6 here, prepare for non-clinical questions. And they're mentioning ethics scenarios, communication skills, informed consent. So that's a certain percent of the test, a smaller percent. But
yeah, this is not a make or break for the exam, but there are definitely going to be opportunities for them to test you on a whole bunch of those kind of things, systems of practice, all that kind of stuff. Yes, it's about, if I remember correctly, it's about 10% worth of your score.
Number 7 here is logistics and personal prep. And this is a lot about, honestly, referring back to the bulletin, where do I go? What do I do? What time does the exam start? What can I take with me? What can I not take with me? Schedule items, if you will. So
yeah, I mean, with these kind of high stress situations, the more prepared you are, both with the knowledge and for the communication, but also the more you understand about what's actually going to happen at any given time, the less stress you have to carry on your shoulders worrying about it. Just figure it out.
Yep.
And that's all in the bulletin.
Oh yeah. And then thing number 8 that they list, which is the final one they list, is mental preparation. And I have to say, this is something people don't think about. And I have 2 huge things I recommend for that. Number 1 is start early.
It's not too early. It's never too
early. If it's a year out, that's great.
Especially if you're having to repeat the exam. If you and I find that in that group we either see people waiting to the very last minute. I've had people contact me the week before the exam and in a panic, and they've not been successful in the past. Or they're wanting to start prepping for next year immediately after they've taken the exam. They haven't even gotten their score and they're convinced they haven't passed. But it's never too early to start prepping.
No, never. And the other big thing is verbalize. Practicing in a mirror, getting used to the sound of your own voice, which can be very weird for a lot of people to really listen to themselves say things that they feel like they understand, but can't explain it and or verbalize it appropriately. And if you don't say things out loud while you're studying, how would you expect to be able to say it out loud the day of the exam?
Quiet study for the oral exam is not successful.
No.
You have to be talking.
Not at all. And that's the last one from them. So Dr. Martin and I were speaking about the fact that this year, in the bulletin. It's a little bit different. They've made some changes to the format a little bit. They've renamed the lists, actually, organized it some. I think overall it's maybe an improvement. And one of the things, which is right in your wheelhouse, is critical care. And in fact, they have critical care on the OB and now the non-OB list, which used to be called the medical complications list. So I listen to your podcast regularly when I'm on the treadmill.
Thank you.
Because I love hearing your voice. And it also is just because it helps. I learn really well that way. Some people do, some people don't. And it helps me with breaking things down and then being able to talk to other people about it and teach other people as well, and just learning for myself. So if no one's following this podcast, you should be, but can you tell us exactly where it is and a little bit about it? And I strongly suggest listening to it. I mean, if you're an MFM or anyone in our space of high-risk pregnancies, all the time, but if you're studying for your boards, I highly, highly recommend it.
Thank you. It's the Critical Care Obstetrics podcast. You can listen to it anywhere you get podcasts. And we have lots of different topics, from actual critical care topics like management of diabetic ketoacidosis, amniotic fluid embolism, cardiac arrest, resuscitative cesarean, all of those things, but also simulation topics and how team skills and how you bring care to the bedside, translate what you learn and what you know into actual bedside care with your teams. And we try and make things very simple, break down real complicated topics into simple things. And with critical care, especially for the exam, what I find is that people get so intimidated just by the idea of it. They don't know how to verbalize in a concise way what they're doing. Remember, you don't have that long to talk about any of these given cases. So you're going to start broad and get more detailed. And our podcasts really talk. It's not directed at board prep,
no,
but it really helps you understand the topic in a very nuts and bolts, simplified way, which hopefully should inspire you to be able to describe what's happening with your patients or respond to critical care type of questions on the exam.
Right. And hearing Dr. Martin, who is a maternal fetal medicine specialist, talk about critical care in a way that you hear it, then you can verbalize it in a similar that's also part of the studying, is how do I say it properly?
Yeah.
And listening to another MFM describe a very complex topic in, I don't want to say a simple way, but a very easy to understand way, means that it's easy for the listener to hear it too. So if you are explaining it to someone, they will hear it nice and very concise.
Hopefully, that's
and
the intent.
Yeah, and that's what I like about it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it was 8 things from Chat GPT. And if you have more questions about boards, let me know. I do very private board coaching for only a handful of people every year, because it is very intense with the mental preparedness, which apparently Chat GPT says is important, and trying to really simulate the environment and starting with practice sessions the first time we work together. There's none of this like, I've got to read and study before we do a session. No, we're starting now. So start early. Make sure to get your bulletin printed out so that you can see what's on the bulletin, read it, post it somewhere, mark it in your computer. Get ready to study now, because you got to get started now.
April's going to be here before you know it.
April comes up so fast. All right, good luck studying. I'm Dr. Lexi. I can't say wishing you a happy and healthy pregnancy unless you're pregnant. And if you're not, I'm going to say wishing you an exciting time to study for your board exam. Start early. Take care.